We move things, though, to this past weekend. Impact Wrestling on Friday night, Extreme Rules on Saturday night. And the reason, you're bringing up Extreme Rules with Impact Wrestling is because, it's all about the returns. And that's what we'll talk about here is the returns of who's returned and who is coming next. This past Saturday, we did officially see Bray Wyatt make his return at the Wells Fargo Center in Philadelphia. First off, with Bray Wyatt, my impressions are that we are going to see a lot of vignettes for a little while. I don't know if it's going to go all the way to, WrestleMania or anything like that. But remember last time the Firefly Funhouse lasted us from April all the way, and I think it was April they started teasing it. May, the Firefly Funhouse began, and then SummerSlam was his first match. And I feel like we're going to do the same thing now, maybe a little bit shorter, but I don't think, he's going to be on SmackDown this week in person. I think it's going to be vignettes, and I think it's going to be vignettes for a little bit. What do you take on that?
Yeah, it's going to be definitely exclusively on SmackDown is the word on the street. So he'll be exclusively a SmackDown competitor. I do say you'll probably see some vignettes. I don't think it's going to be that long. I think you're going to see it for a short time because here's the thing. Fox wants him on TV. They don't want just vignettes. They want Bray Wyatt to be on their show in live, not on some pre-tape thing. They want him in the ring. They want him on the show. So that to me, I think that speaks volumes. And from what I have read and what I've heard is the whole Bray Wyatt segment there, that whole thing at Extreme Rules went over very well. Fox loved it. They were very pleased about it.
I loved it.
It was It was great. You were there. I want to get your thoughts on that in a second. But it was just a lot of fun. And the nice thing about it is, from all the reports, Bray had all the control, it seemed like. He just had to get a few things get the okay, to make sure it's okay for programming. But other than that, it seems like that's why he's back, is because he's always wanted to have this creative freedom because he's a very creative individual. And Vince and him, that's why he left in the first place, because him and Vince didn't exactly see eye to eye on things, and he wanted to be more creative, and he thought he was kind of hamstrung. So it was cool to see that creativeness. It was a lot of fun. And I'm wondering, the next question is, and I want to get to your thoughts on it because you were there. What are your thoughts on the whole, the different characters? Are we going to see a new faction? What do we think here?
Well, I will say, I don't know for sure. That's been the talk, recently about who essentially are the wrestlers behind these characters.
I know one.
And I'm not even 100% sold that there are any wrestlers behind these characters.
I know. I think there is one in particular.
I just feel
do
like...
you know who I'm thinking?
I don't know who you're thinking. You're thinking Baron Corbin?
Bo Dallas.
Okay, you could be thinking... people are saying Bo Dallas might have been, Bray Wyatt, The Fiend. I heard Baron Corbin underneath the buzzard. All that kind of stuff. But I guess my thing is, for now, I believe, until taught otherwise, that I personally just think that these were just accompaniments to bring back Bray Wyatt. That these people in these costumes were just caricatures of, symbolic, meaning there was nobody who's behind the voice of the buzzard, who's behind the voice of the rabbit before. We didn't have those questions. They were just things to go along with Bray Wyatt. So I felt like when we saw these things at the wrestling show at Extreme Rules in Philadelphia, they weren't necessarily there to be like, here's a person. They were more or less there to be just tease and get Bray Wyatt ready. Just tease Bray Wyatt is returning kind of thing. They could have just been actual items. Like they could have actually, just actual buzzard, actual thing. I don't know.
Were you close to any of them by chance when you were in the arena?
I was not. And the crazy thing is, very good work on WWE. I don't know how they do it. It's part of their magic. But to find a way where they just popped up, nobody saw them. I didn't see anybody saying this one's next or pointing to where another one was going to be. It just
happened.
It just boom. And before you could even look to see where they were in the arena, they were you had to see it on the scoreboard. They were gone, kind of thing.
That's cool. That's
and
magic.
Again, how they got the spotlight, meaning because again, you normally see, them moving the spotlight, getting it ready. And then
they probably had it all I bet you those spotlights were already preset.
Yeah,
because WWE had to have that mapped out way before the show started. They probably said, okay, these spotlights are only for this shot. So they have boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and it was it was they hit him. you look around the arena to see where it even is, and then it's gone. And then
it's like the magic of like Dexter Loomis. Every time he does something, it's like he's like this past week. He was the whole Miz birthday thing. He's right there underneath the ring, and the next thing you know, he's in the ring, and like you didn't see. It's so interesting how they can like WWE they had this magic. I would love to know how they do it, but that's obviously something that's like insider information.
I mean, with inside the ring, you just got to pay attention to a little bit before the matches start when you see all the production people coming out there and who they got underneath a veil and they're sneaking out, that kind of thing. Hiding, if you will.
I mean, for TV, you can't see. But if you're in the arena, yes. If you're in the arena, you definitely...
But even still at the arena, if you don't really expect it coming, you don't know, kind of thing.
It could be quick, yeah. I mean, it's one of those situations.
I mean, so like Bray Wyatt coming out was really cool. And again, I'm not 100% sold on who these other people are. Obviously, there's the rumors going around of Seth Rollins and Liv Morgan because they both made their Twitter accounts go black after Extreme Rules was over.
Pretty interesting, though. That's interesting timing that they both did that.
Yeah.
I mean, that what does that lead to? Does that maybe put them in their own little faction?
Well,
I mean,
Seth Rollins is now the United States champion, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But talking about returns and potential returns, we saw Bray Wyatt come back, and think about all the people who've come back now under Triple H. Some other people that could potentially come back under Triple H, we're talking Mia Yim. And it's kind of funny because I actually ran into Mia Yim at the Impact Wrestling show. I think she was like getting out of the bathroom. She wasn't backstage kind of thing. And people were getting their photos with her real quick for free. And little FYI, I am not a meet wrestlers person. I don't want to pay to meet anybody. I don't think anybody is worthy of me paying them money just to get a picture with them. And I also think that it's kind of phony when you do that because it's not an authentic interaction. So if you ever see me post a picture with a wrestler or anyone for that matter that's a celebrity, it's not just that it's free. It's free. That I saw them outside of the element of a meet and greet.
How did that go? Like, how was the interaction with her, by the way?
I mean, she was just running real. I didn't get a picture with her. I didn't chase her down, but I saw other people and I was thinking about it, but I said, I'm going to go and do my thing. And so I saw her there, and potentially that could be one of the last times she is in Impact Wrestling. She has put out that this is not goodbye, but all indications she has done with Impact Wrestling. She had a match that is airing this week on Impact because Postbound for Glory, they did a bunch of TV stuff for the upcoming week. And that match that she had on Impact tapings that are going to air this week is potentially her last. Other people that might be done with Impact Wrestling and could rejoin WWE, I'm hearing Chelsea Green.
I've heard that as well. I heard they're very interested in getting her back.
She was one of the tag team champions with Deonna Purrazzo this past week at Impact's Bound for Glory. They lost the belts. She is no longer the current champion. She is somebody as well. Somebody else. Now we move on to some of the men and a tag team that beat the Motor City Machine Guns this past week, but then, spoiler alert, lost their championships, the tag team championships, at the Impact tapings that took place post Bound for Glory. We're talking former Ring of Honor World Champion Matt Taven, and we're talking another guy who has apparently left Impact Wrestling is Vincent. They were part of the Honor No More Kingdom group.
So they're both.
Mike, and I've heard nothing about Mike Bennett, who was also a part of that group there. But
you've heard Taven might be WWE back.
I've heard that Vincent has left Ring of Honor and his time is done. Left Impact Wrestling, and that Matt Taven is. I haven't heard that he's left, but I've heard that WWE is actually interested in Matt Taven specifically.
Do you think I think he's an NXT guy.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine he'd start in NXT.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a former ROH World Champion. I mean, it's crazy to think, but he essentially was one of the main eventers when Ring of Honor and New Japan put on that big show at MSG WrestleMania weekend for WrestleMania 35. He was in
that's the
one
name
I didn't.
That's the one. Like I didn't hear Taven or Vincent, so that's a surprise. The other names, yes. I didn't hear the other ones. That's cool. I mean, that'd be cool additions if it in fact comes to fruition.
Keith Lee seems a little tied up with AEW, but another person that of a bigger size I want to bring, Bronson Reed. I'm hearing about returning to WWE as well.
That's cool. That's another one. I liked him in NXT. I always liked him as a North American champion.
So, I mean, think about the amount of people. I mean, we've had Hit Row, Johnny Gargano, Dexter Loomis, Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman. The list, who am I missing here that have come back just under the Triple H regime here?
Well, the OC.
the OC, who came back this past week. And let me tell you, what do you make of this? I'm going to ask you because I mean it is annoying a little bit in how much like Carl Anderson, they're bringing back his old tweets about how he said never say never. Well, you can say never. I'm not coming back to that company. Or the fact that when they had the whole
hell cares
when they had the whole issue, with
their
with the mental health policies that WWE has, he made
or
it send out a tweet.
It could be had because obviously Triple H has obviously made some changes.
He made sure to say, put out a tweet that said something about like what policy or like what services.
Like who the hell cares? Like at that point when those tweets came out that he was kind of, obviously he was not kind of, I should say, he was bashing WWE. Those were in a point where he was obviously at odds with the company. That stuff happens. And guess what? In the wrestling business, you can say some bad stuff about who you worked for, and guess what? You're probably coming back another year or two. It's just kind of how it goes. I mean, let's be honest. We've heard all the crazy stories like the Ultimate Warrior, for example.
I just feel with Carl Anderson putting out there where he actually specifically put out there, never say never, like meaning indicating how he badmouthed. It was a tweet where he badmouthed WWE and then put underneath it, never say never. Yeah, no, never. You can say never.
He was obviously. Who cares though? Who gives? Who gives?
But why do you have to?
But why? Like that's the problem with social media.
Why has he got to drill home like that point? Never say never. Oh, let me tell you, I've heard that before in the world of wrestling, and I can tell you, unlike those other losers out there, unlike those other idiots, I can say never. I'm not a wishy-washy kind of person, and boom, he's back, which literally shows you. I mean, Tony Khan can show up in WWE for all, I'm not.
Here's the difference, though. It was under a different regime. That's the point. That's the point that people are missing. This was under Vince's thumb. Now it's under Triple H.
So what you're saying is that when he said never say never, I'll never come back to that company, is he was saying never say never, I'll never come back to Vince McMahon.
Vince McMahon's WWE. Yes, that is. Thank you. That's exactly where I was going, and I'm sure that's what he was trying to say. I don't think it was WWE as a whole. I think it was WWE under the under the thumb of Vince McMahon.
That'd be very interesting to have WWE as it's a TV show, right? So to have it as like a TV show where it's got different I'm thinking of like it's Halloween time and there's lots of movies and books that are always like, for example, like Rob Zombie's Halloween, that kind of thing, or like Tim Burton's Addams Family, those kind of things. So it's like when you say like Vince McMahon's WWE, makes me wonder, like, could we have other people like create a WWE, but like under there be like, this is, Corey Taylor of Slipknot. This is Corey Taylor's WWE.
No, it's
that would be interesting.
I get what you're saying. But
I know it's ridiculous because it's the TV show that is not but it is like, but it just made me, when you said Vince McMahon's WWE, because all of a sudden my brain went to Bram Stoker's Dracula.
But that's the difference is it's a business. So it's like, it'd be like any owner of any company, any CEO that says I'm stepping down, there could be people in that industry that say, well, I never wanted to work for that jackass, but now that he's gone, I like this guy better. I'm okay. I'll go back. That stuff doesn't just happen in wrestling. That happens in a lot of facets of life. I just don't like the fact that it's like, not you, but just the internet wrestling community, the trolls on social media. They're like, oh, look at these tweets from when who cares? Who cares about the tweets? Did he say anything that was maybe incorrect? No, he was giving his honest opinion. He didn't bash anybody individually. He just said, I'll never go back. And what he didn't have to go into details because you get a limited amount of characters on Twitter anyways. Oh, he could have said under Vince McMahon's WWE. He didn't throw that in there. So we're just kind of assuming, and that's kind of where we think that's going. So he didn't personally attack anybody. He just said, I just will not work under that umbrella, so to speak.
Returns to WWE that you speculate or you would like to see?
Any returns?
Any more returns under Triple H's WWE?
I like that. We're just going to go with that from now on. Under Triple H's WWE, yes, I see Miro and I see Andrade. I don't know what the contract. I don't know what Tony Khan's contracts are for those boys, but obviously, I think Andrade is going to be in WWE sooner than Miro. That's the way I look at it. But if I had to pick two that Triple H really liked, really had a keen eye for, it's those two guys. And there's, by all reports, there's more unnamed wrestlers in AEW that want to jump ship and go back to WWE because of Triple H taking over, because they had a great relationship with Triple H.
One guy I saw on Friday night, I mean, I don't really know what you do with him, but Heath Slater.
Oh God, Heath Slater. Oh boy, that's I take that back. I like Heath. Heath to me, he's the type of guy that he would be really good to be a mentor. Like, he'd be a good enhancement talent and like help the young talent get over. So that's the kind of guy, and that's not a bad thing. You can make a hell of a living off of that, by the way. I don't see the star appeal with Heath Slater. I think he seems like a nice guy. He puts in solid work. I think he's more at this point in his career. I think he'd be perfect as kind of like an enhancement type talent to help get the younger stars up and running.